Hello Booktube, my name is Elizabeth. Welcome or welcome back to my channel, Book as in Books. And welcome to this video that is going to be a little bit shaky. I am holding the phone in my hand, so it's not on a tripod as usual, so it's going to be a bit shaky. The thing is, I thought I would film a video this morning, so Saturday, November 7th. And turns out that I sat down in this chair and I had a little dog sleeping on my lap and I spent the entire morning reading. So no video in the morning, and in the afternoon I had a few errands to run, including buying little boots for my little dog because they are announcing snow for tomorrow, in fact, and I don't want my dog to walk on, well, snow I don't mind that much, but it's mainly that the city's using salt and all sort of chemicals to melt the snow, and I don't want my dog walking on that, and I don't want him licking his paws full of these salts and chemicals and all of that. So he needs little boots. So we went to buy little boots and run a few other errands, and then I did a few chores like vacuum, because I have to vacuum quite a bit since I have a dog, and things like that. So no video this afternoon. And then I had dinner, and now it's the evening, and what do I do in the evening? I sit in this chair and I read with a little dog on my lap. And then I thought, oh darn, I haven't filmed a video. That's the thing, when you don't film for about 6 weeks, you sort of lose the habit of filming. At least that's what happened to me. And now it's sort of like I don't know where to fit it in my time. It's like there's no slot for filming in my schedule. So this is the video you're going to get, with me holding the phone with my arm rested on the armrest of the chair. However, it's a bit low, so I'm sitting a bit crooked and it's not very flattering for me. But anyway, this is not a beauty channel, so I will survive and you will survive too. So what do I want to talk in this video? I thought I could talk, well, at first I thought I could talk about all the books that I've read since I've been away, but I don't have the books near me, and that would be a bit boring. Well, that would be a bit boring. It could be more interesting if I had the books with me and if I took 2 seconds to check the titles in English, because quite a few of them were in French, so I don't know necessarily the titles in English. So instead, I'm just going to make a chalky video about various subjects. So first, I'm going to invite you to join the Booktube Prize judging. Was it today or yesterday? Well, very recently, Robert, who organizes the Booktube Prize, released the video, The Call for Judges. So I'm going to leave a link in the description box below if you're the sort of person who doesn't mind reading 6 books in 2 months, for whom it's quite easy to do it. Because if it's a bit of a stretch, perhaps that would be a bit of an ask to say read these specific 6 books. But if you read more than 6 books in a period of 2 months, I would strongly invite you to try to be a Booktube Prize judge. It's so much fun. So the way that it works is that you sign up at this time of the year, and then when comes January 1, Robert sends us a list of about 75 to 100 books, and we can vote for up to 20 of them, so that they will make the long list of 48 books. So the final, not the finalists, but they will make the final list of 48 books. So there's 48 books for fiction and 48 for nonfiction. So you can be judged for either fiction or nonfiction or both. It's up to you. And this year, Robert does not ask us to choose ahead of time which division we want to judge. We'll choose when we sign up. So well, it's not every quarter, but it starts in at the end of January. He asks us if we're willing to judge. So the first round is February and March, and then the second round is April and May. Third round is June, July, and the last round is August and September. If you have not judged one of the first 3 rounds, you cannot judge the last round because it's unfair. Everybody wants to read the final, and it's in the first round that we need judges. So so there's a fiction and nonfiction division. So on January 1, we receive a whole list of 75 to 100 books. We can vote for up to 20 of books that we want to see in the final 48. And then the books are divided into groups of 6 books. And then at every round, each group is cut in half. So so if you are in group A, well, you have 6 books to read, and then in the next round, only the top 3 books of that round will make of that group will make it through. So the top 3 books of group A, the top 3 books of group B, and so on and so forth. So there are 24 books in the second round, and then in the third round there are 12 books, and then in the last round there's just 6 books, and it's a lot of fun. I haven't posted my video of my ranking for the Booktube Prize for the final. It's one of the videos that I'm going to do relatively soon. The one that I put in first place did not win. It did not even make the top 3. And in a way, I was not surprised. But anyway, so that's one thing I wanted to say. So there are links in the description box below to the video for call for judges. And in the description box of that video, there's a link to a Google form where you can sign up to be a judge. And I very strongly invite you to do so. Next thing I wanted to talk about was how having a little dog has changed my reading, because it has a little bit. The main thing that it has is that it cuts down the time for reading. It takes more time than I thought it would to take care of a little dog. I thought it would be something like 30 minutes a day, maybe 45 minutes a day, but it turns out that this little dog has quite a bit of energy, and it's more like 2 hours of strolls and walks that he needs every day, plus a bit of playing, plus time needed to feed him and things like that. So so all that time is not necessarily taken on my what would be reading time. I used to take a few walks myself, so some of that is so some of the outside time remains the same. It's just that now I have a dog with me. Some of it is taken on my sleep because that little ball of fur is up and about at 6 a.m. And is full of energy at 6 a.m. I don't mind getting up at 6 a.m. No, it's not. I shouldn't say that. I don't mind waking up at 6 a.m. because I tend to wake up relatively early. But it takes me quite a while to actually get up, to just fully be aware that I'm not sleeping anymore. And for him, it's just instant. Well, in fact, I think he's awake like 30 minutes before me or something like that. And he just patiently waits for me to wake. And once I sort of stir a little bit and he realizes that I'm awake, well, he's ready to play and go about and have his day. And I'm not. I'm not. So anyway, so he takes a bit of time on that. But anyway, so it does take time away from reading. I would say a good 30 minutes a day, 45 minutes a day of reading less. Also, as I said, he spends a lot of time on my lap. He is the most wonderful reading background ever. However, sometimes he's a bit distracting. So I'm going to insert a little video of him sleeping, just being very, very cute, but somewhat kind of distracting. So sometimes it's harder to focus. And another consequence of having a little dog sleeping on your lap when you read is that it is a lot more difficult to read big, bulky books. Because if I wanted to read a hardcover before I had a dog, what I would do was I would prop a pillow on my lap and I would put the book on the pillow. But now I have a dog, so I'm not going to put a pillow over my dog, and I'm certainly not am going to put a book on my dog. So I have to find another way of reading the big bulky book that does not bother my dog, because yes, my dog comes first. Parker is first. So basically, since I have a dog, I much prefer paperbacks and short books that are not too heavy to hold, because I'm holding the phone. Well, you can't see, but as I said, my arm is propped on the armrest of the chair. And well, that's a little bit how I hold my books. I'm not holding them as high as I'm holding this phone, but that's a bit the way that I'm holding the book. So I have a book in one hand, and the hand is resting on the armrest, and that's how I read the book. And that's not possible with big, bulky hardcovers. So that's a difference. And the other difference in my reading is that I now listen to much more audiobooks. I say much more. Not that I have listened to 10,000 of them, because I adopted my dog in July, so on July 15. And I soon realized that walking for 2 hours every day can become a little bit boring, because we don't go that far. It's not 2 hours like at one time. It's a lot of little 15 and 30-minute strolls. So it's always the same neighborhood, it's always the same streets, and it gets a little bit boring. So it's more interesting if I'm listening to something. So I tried listening to music. That's kind of nice. Sometimes I listen to podcasts, though I'm not much of a podcast person. I haven't found a ton of podcasts that I like. One that I listen to is The Rest is History. They have interesting stuff. However, this week they made a couple of one about Disney, and it turns out that they were kind of paid for it. Ugh, it's not really nice. So yeah. So that's the reason why I don't really like podcasts, because very often we don't know where they come from and how they're made and why and things like that. So anyway, I turned to audiobooks. And that's going to be a video in and of itself, what I think of audiobooks, because I'm still very picky. There's a lot of audiobooks that I don't like. For every one that I actually listened all the way through, I think it's 3 or 4. It's 3 or 4 since June, not June, since July. There's at least as many, if not probably twice as many, that I started and listened to just a few minutes and then gave up on them because I didn't like them. I'm still very picky about audiobooks. It's very difficult for me to enjoy an audiobook. So it has to be well done. It has to match, I don't know, the narrator's voice has to match the narrative voice. I'm going to call it that. And it has to be a specific type of book, because one that I started was a Dickens, The Pickwick Papers. And I don't know, I felt like the narrator was not really transmitting the humor that I would have, like the tone I would have in my mind if I was reading some Dickens. And also, I need the spelling of the names. The names are just so weird. I need the spelling of them to remember which character is what. And in an audiobook, you don't have that. So Pickwick just didn't work, and it's not just like there was more than one possibilities, and I listened to 2 or 3, like just the beginning, to see which voice I liked better. And it's not a question of voice, it's really a question of it's too difficult to listen to Dickens on audiobook. And then anyway, there were others that didn't work. So yeah, so I listened to audiobooks. So that's a change since I've had a dog. And the last change is the provenance of the books. I used to go to the library very often because, as I said, I used to go outside for walks, and the library was very often the destination of my walks. However, dogs are not allowed in libraries, so now when I go out to walk with my dog, I can't go to the library. So the library has to become a deliberate destination, like not just a place I go because I'm going out for a stroll and, oh, I'll go to the library. I have to decide, okay, I'm leaving my dog behind and I'm going to the library. And somehow it's just not worth it. Well, it's not that it's not worth it. I do go to the library once in a while, again, meaning that for a little while I did not leave my dog alone. He has a bit of anxiety, so if I just leave him, he just barks. I have to put him in his crate, which I don't really like, but apparently that's where he's comfortable, so that's where I leave him. So for quite a while I did not go to the library at all. I didn't go anywhere at all. So that was for about a month, I would say. So now I go again. I can leave my apartment. I'm not a prisoner anymore. But it has to be a deliberate destination, and I don't know. It's not my favorite destination anymore. And by the same token, the bookstores are not necessarily my favorite destination anymore either, because, well, so some of them are simply too far. My dog cannot walk to them, and then I don't know if my dog would be accepted. There's a bookstore that is within walking distance of where I live, and I asked if I could bring my dog, and they said yes, no problem. And that's the French bookstore, La Librairie du Soleil. So I'm going to go to that store a bit more often. Well, a bit more often, I don't know. Winter is coming, and it's within walking distance, but for my dog, it's still a bit far. And it's cold. It's going to be cold, so though it could cut the walk in two, so we could walk for like 15 minutes to get there, and then he would be inside for 30 minutes or more, and then we would get outside again, and yeah, that could be an option. That could be an option. Anyway, that brings me to the third topic of this video, which is the Read What You Own challenge. The evil challenge thought of by Ollie from Criminali, and that is also that is now a booktube event that is co-hosted by Greg from Another Bibliophile Reads, MJ from Reading This Life, and Crystal from Fiber Artsy. And the idea is that they invite us, I should say, to not buy books for either a period of time or for a number of books. So the challenge started as, I don't know exactly how it started. Somebody challenged Ollie to read 100 of his own books before he bought another one. And then Greg did it, and then MJ tried it, and then it just became something on BookTube. Try to read 100 of your own books without buying a single one. For my part, 100 would be too much. It's this year I haven't read 100 books, so it would be more than a year without buying books. And I don't think my book buying habits are that bad. I don't think that I need to starve myself completely of buying books for a whole year, because in theory it would be good for me. I don't think it would be. I do have a number of unread books. I call it my TBR. At the moment, there are, I believe, about 230 books on that TBR. I'm going to do a recount in January just to make sure, because some books, sometimes I put them on there and I don't really consider them TBRs, books that I have to read from cover to cover. Like if I read just a few chapters of them, I will consider them used properly, but somehow I don't consider them read because I haven't read them from cover to cover. Or anyway, I'm going to do a recount, and I may call some books, I may unhaul some of them, because some of them have been there for a number of years, and I think my reading interests have changed, and yeah, maybe I'm not interested in them anymore, and that's the reason why they're still there. So what am I going to do with that? I don't have to set the target of 100. There are other levels possible. So 100 is like the ultimate level. You could go for 75, you could go for 50, you could go for 25, or you could go for the unofficial snowflake level of 10, which is the one that I used to adopt, to try to go for. This year, I'm not even going to do that. I'm not even going to go for 10. As I said, my book buying habits have been reduced by quite a bit, particularly since I've had a dog. Since July 15th, so the day that I bought my dog, I went to the bookstore twice. 2 or 3 times. And I can tell you the dates where I bought some books. One date was August 12th, because there's an event, I guess, where on August 12th, it started in the province of Quebec, and the name in French is Le 12 août, j'achète un livre québécois. So on August 12th, I buy a Québécois book, and I stretch it to say a French-Canadian book. So, whoops, I'm losing my phone. Sorry about that. Whoops, that's my thumb. So on August 12th, I did buy some books, and I have read these books. And then last Monday, I bought some books because it was the first Monday of November. It was dark, it was gray, it was sad, and I decided to buy a couple of books. And I've actually finished reading these couple of books. So, and I have acquired other books since July, but they have all been books that I've picked in little free libraries. So I haven't really bought anything. And the thing is with books that I find in little free libraries, that if I don't read them after a few weeks, I'm just going to put them back in the little free libraries. I'm not feeling like I'm wasting money or I'm wasting something. It's just that I borrow the book like I do from a library, and if I find that I will not use it, well, I'm just going to bring it back, and that's going to be that. There's one that I picked and that I showed in a video in August that I started to read, and I think I'm just going to bring it back because I don't like it. It's what's the title? It's Lulu and Eve, I think. Yeah, I'm about 150 pages in, and I just don't like it. I cannot get into it. So, and it's a big book that I have difficulty reading because it's a big book. So I think that's going to be that. I'm just not going to fight it. So anyway, what I want to do with the Read What You Own challenge this year is I'm going to continue not to buy books until I would say about Christmas. Because between Christmas and New Year's, there's always a sale at Indigo where their hardcovers are 30% off. So that's an interesting sale. And also for Christmas, I'm going to be, well, visiting. I'm going to be away to see family, and I'm going to try to support the local bookstores over there. So, so yeah, there's no reason why I should impose to myself a no buying objective. Now my objective, in fact, would be to read as many books as I can that I've acquired this year. I'd like to show you something, but with a hand holding the phone, it becomes a bit more complicated to show you stuff. I'm going to stop the video and start something else and show you what I want. Anyway, just back in a second. So what I wanted to show you was what my actually my reading notebook. Whenever I acquire a book, I write it down and I put a little square, and when I read the book, I fill the little square. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of hard to show. And what I would like to do is fill as many little squares as I can. So as you can see, the first page is all filled. So that's the books that I acquired in January, February, and March. Well, the beginning of March, because I bought quite a few books in March. I was traveling to Australia and I brought back quite a few books. So everything on the first page has been read. On the second page, I have 3 squares that are not filled yet. So one of them is a book about Melanesia that I've started, and for some reason I put it aside, but I'm going to finish that. The other one is The Travels of Marco Polo. I am currently reading it, so that I'm pretty sure is going to be filled. The other one is 1493 by Charles C. Mann. That one I am not going to read before the end of the year, for the simple reason that I still haven't read 1491, and I'm not going to read that one in second. And then there's the last page, which is the 2 books that I bought this week. I've read them. That is awesome. So that leaves us the middle pages. And these ones are far from being full. So these are all, so on this second page, like this page here, these are all books that I acquired in little free libraries. So some of them may end up with an X in the little square. So these are books that I acquired and decided not to read, that I decided to unhaul before I read them. And yes, so that might happen to a few books on this page. It might happen to other books that are still on that other page. It's really weird. You can't read a thing. Anyway, so my objective would be to read as many of these books as I can, because it's kind of nice to say I acquired these books this year and I've read them this year, or something like that. So that's going to be my objective. So I'm not putting any number on it. I'm not going to say I'm going to read 10 books without buying a single one or anything like that. I'm just going to say that I want to read as many of the books that I've acquired this year, and that I'm going to try to do that before Christmas. Because after Christmas, well, I may acquire some more books. So that's it for me. And thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you in the next video, and à la prochaine.